listeners, I'm Robert Million and welcome back to 100% Creative Juices, where we talk with the talented creators in the entertainment industry today. As our special guest, we have with us a producer and the co-founder of Epic Level Entertainment, which has such well-made web series as Space Guys in Space. Please welcome Cindi Rice.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I am great. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for contacting me.
My pleasure to have you here today. You're the woman pulling the strings behind many projects. What was it like starting your career?
Well, I've had a kind of several big steps in my career to lead to where I'm at. I actually started in the hobby gaming industry and went through that process of building up my job through editorial and design up to brand management. I actually worked on my first really exciting professional gig was I was an editor for Dungeons and Dragons for the company TSR back in Wisconsin. And so I started developing creative content there and worked my way into marketing and licensing and brand management, and eventually was the brand manager for Dungeons & Dragons. And when I decided to move into entertainment, I found that all those skills helped me quite a bit. And I started on the business side of entertainment when Hasbro bought Wizards of the Coast, who had bought us at TSR. I transferred out to the entertainment division to do licensing. So I was working on projects the Hasbro properties wanted set up into film and television. So I was working with the team to set up like the Transformers movie that we did with Tom DeSanto and the team that made the movies, and with the teams that did Dungeons and Dragons movies and Dragonlance and just any of the properties that we could set up, some of which happened and most of which didn't, which is common for entertainment. And I kind of fell in love with the process and eventually just kind of transferred all of my skill set away from just doing the business and licensing and being their agent into producing my own content.
And what kind of formal training did you have?
None whatsoever. I started, I have a degree in English literature, so not at all particularly relevant, other than it just makes me perhaps have a leg up on story. I was originally, in my literature degree, I also did a lot of technical writing stuff, which is what led me to editing. But I have no training in production at all. I've had to learn it all, just through experience. I came out, and when I was the director of licensing for entertainment for Hasbro, and at the same time I would volunteer for any shoots that I heard of, and I would go PA just to get some on-set experience. And eventually started producing and executive producing PSAs, just to kind of, again, learn more about the process. And so I think the first producing I ever did was executive producing on some public service announcements for the women in film. And I was a co-chair of the program there, where we would do, I don't even know, I think it was 4 or 5 PSAs a year for local charities, and we would all donate our time and get other companies to donate equipment and people and so on. And that was kind of where I learned a lot about production, and then the rest of it was just trial and error. I would buy some equipment and go out and ask someone I knew to show me how to use it. And since then, I've done almost every job on the set at one time or another just to try it out. I'm terrible at some of them, especially things related to lighting. I'm just awful. But at least I got a little bit of understanding of how it works and what the vocabulary was and what the job entails. So, so that I think that all makes me a much better producer, just having, kind of tried it out and gotten a scope of it. But none of it was through school. It was all on my own or with my friends or on a set of some kind.
Would you recommend to other people looking to start out to go this similar way by just picking it up as you go along?
I guess it depends. Everybody learns differently. I mean, film school obviously has a lot of value. My business partner, producing partner, he went to USC Film School, which he is very, very proud of, and still talks about some of the things he learned there, which come up quite often. But for me, I don't learn as well by being told things. I really am someone who has to do it. I mean, I've also, since the past 4 years, I've had to teach myself all of the post stuff. And so I've been, I taught myself Premiere and Final Cut and After Effects, and I just had to try it out, and design for, graphics. I taught myself Photoshop, and so now I've done some of the VFX in some of our shows, and I've edited some of our shows. But the only way I could do that, I couldn't do it by just watching tutorials or seeing someone else show me. I don't really get much out of that. I just got some footage and just started playing with it and learning what worked and what didn't, and then sending it to people and asking for their feedback. And so I think it depends on what kind of learner you are. If you're someone who can get a lot out of someone telling you things, great. School can be great for that. Most people do well in that, but I don't. So if you don't get a chance to go to school, or if that's not a good learning process for you, then just do stuff. I think just trying it out. It's so easy to get hold of equipment and software now. The barrier to entry in filmmaking is so low as far as the technical side, that there's no reason why anyone can't just do it and practice it and learn it, and hopefully become good at it.
As you mentioned before, you began one of your careers as a designer and editor for Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider yourself a big gamer geek?
Oh, yes. My hubby is a game designer, and that's where we actually met. And so we spend a lot of time playing games. Obviously, that's his career and his passion, and it's when we both share. So I play as many things as I can. We don't have as much time as we would like for tabletop games, since that requires us to get other people together at the same time. We try, to get together with our friends for board game nights occasionally, and we've even played D&D maybe a handful of times in the past few years. But mostly it's computer games and console games and iPad games. But I have hundreds of games on my iPad and my iPhone, and because he's a designer, we buy, I don't even know, a dozen console games a month and try them out, and then we both play MMOs online. Though I've kind of gotten tired of some of them. I've played a ton of them. I had 4 level 75-ish, characters in level 70s for World of Warcraft, and played a lot of City of Heroes, and played EVE Online, and played Rifts, a ton of Rifts, and so I like all of those. But I've mostly been I've been so busy that I kind of stopped doing the MMOs because they do suck a lot of time.
Which game have you found yourself playing the most lately?
Probably on my iPad, since that one's so easy to take with me everywhere. I've been playing a lot of Royal Envoy, though it's kind of a strategy puzzle resource game. That's been my favorite, though my number one iPad favorite is still Plants vs. Zombies. Let's see, what else? I have the new Final Fantasy sitting there waiting for me, because I asked for it and got it for Christmas, but I haven't had time. That's my favorite franchise in the world. But I finished most of the big RPGs, with everything from BioWare. We play absolutely anything BioWare puts out, from beginning to end, as many times as possible. Dragon Age is my favorite of theirs. I guess so. And Assassin's Creed, we just finished the new Assassin's Creed. So a little bit of everything. And of course I have to do my plug, because my hubby's game is Firefall. So of course we play that. So Firefall, which is amazing. We play that, of course. That's in beta still, but it's a beta that's not too hard to get into.
When working for Wizards of the Coast, what did your job entail?
Well, it changed a lot over the course of my time there because I was there for a while. When I first went there, I was an editor, and eventually moved up to kind of a creative director. There was a morphing of when they were changing the positions to creative director to brand manager titles, and so I was in kind of a hybrid position for a while where I kind of helped kind of lead the designers and editors for some of the brands. So my team was working on like Lost and Forgotten Realms and what else was there? I think and Planescape. And so that was our team, and so I was one of the creative director working for the brand manager, and then eventually worked into assistant brand manager, associate brand manager, and then up to full brand manager. And our job was a lot of it was a team of brand managers, and so we kind of all had expertise in different areas. Mine was a lot of business development, licensing. So I would seek out people to get properties from that we wanted to make games based on. So I worked with the people who did Wheel of Time. I worked with the Chaosium team on getting the rights to Call of Cthulhu. I worked with the Blizzard team to get the rights to Diablo and StarCraft so we could do RPGs, and up to Pokemon and Harry Potter and anything that we wanted to make role-playing games out of. And then I also helped with the integration of new companies. We bought several companies during that time, and I worked, in integrating them into Wizards, like Last Unicorn, other role-playing game companies. And then I would negotiate deals for, the rights of things we were getting, Star Trek and Star Wars and, new franchises. On top of that, I was in charge of the acquisition strategy, so I would work with the creative teams to create products that brought in new players. So our intro boxes, studying what aspects of gaming were accessible at different age groups and trying to make products that taught them the concepts of different levels of gaming so that it would hopefully eventually lead them to D&D. So we did like kids games for Pokemon and Harry Potter and, kind of intro level things that taught different concepts of role-playing games, but targeted at specific age groups. Mm-hmm. Wow, that was a lot. Sorry.
No, that's the whole point of the show, Tom. What was your experience working at Wizards of the Coast?
Oh, it was awesome. Wizards was such a fun company, and in the end, when I left, it was definitely happily that I left because it was not the company that I had gone to work for. It was not that it's a bad company. But it's now part of a big corporation, and that's a whole different environment. Now that it's part of Hasbro, it's a big giant conglomerate, and it was no longer something that I enjoyed as much. But Wizards of the Coast and TSR were incredible. Working for Peter Adkison, who's the owner, founder, CEO of the company, kind of was our rescuer. He came in and saved us. And Dungeons and Dragons when it was floundering, and bought us and moved us all out there, and it was an incredible experience to be part of TSR, where we all were the creatives were all part of a kind of a family, and things were going very badly, and then he came in and made us offers and moved us all out to Seattle, so we moved across the country together, and it kind of bonded us all. And so I still think of a lot of those people as like my family. Those are my closest friends in the world, are almost all people that I worked with at TSR and Wizards of the Coast, and moved around the country with, and traveled with, and gamed with, and just hung out with, and we did everything together. So it was kind of neat to be part of a company where you all shared the same hobbies and passions and interests, as well as worked together. So it was kind of neat. We all spent holidays with each other and hung out at each other's houses, and it was a pretty incredible experience.
Sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
Not too long after that, you set up your own intellectual property management company, Critical Hits. What was it like starting out?
That was really fun because essentially I was doing it because all of the people I was representing were all friends of mine. So I had people asking me all the time to help them with Hollywood deals, and so I just kind of made that the focus. I represented Bob Salvatore, who did the Dark Elf trilogies, and because I worked with him at Wizards of the Coast, and I worked on some stuff with Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman because again I knew them from Dragonlance. I represented a bunch of the authors. I represented other game companies that I knew from the industry because it was the hobby gaming industry is very friendly, and we all hung out together at conventions, and so we got to know all the other people, and we all played each other's games. So, when I worked with, I had the rights to a bunch of stuff from, like White Wolf, who made Vampire the Masquerade and the whole World of Darkness stuff. And so I worked with them because, again, they were my friends. And, again, as well, all the people at Wizards of the Coast, I was representing their properties, and they were my friends. And so it was really fun because it was a nice bridge for me to learn about entertainment when the projects move forward and use the skills I already had in making deals and licensing and business development, and still feel connected to my roots and the things I loved and the people I enjoyed. So it was a perfect transition for me. It's probably not for most people, but it was just, I was just kind of following the things I loved and going with the flow, and it worked really well.
Though having so many connections, did you have any difficulties being a new company?
Honestly, I didn't. I was lucky in that because my clients were, some of them were so impressive, the fact that Hasbro was my client really opened doors. So I know that it's a difficult process for people coming into the entertainment industry, that the studio system and the network system and the agencies, they're all very cliquish and they don't want to talk to you. But I didn't have to deal with that as much because I represented big game companies and large franchises. I had New York Times best-selling authors. I had, novel franchises that had sold hundreds of millions of copies. So, I kind of had an advantage in that way, and I used that to network as much as I could and get myself in so that later I could also take my own things in there, and that has worked pretty well. And plus, I had an amazing mentor when I moved out here, Carol Monroe, who's the woman I worked for at Hasbro when I moved to California. And she was very well connected and was extremely helpful and introduced me to anyone that I needed. So that helped a lot, too. Having someone to mentor me and guide me and direct me and introduce me was just enormously valuable.
Soon after that, you partnered with John Frank Rosenblum to create Epic Level Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen?
He tells the story better than I do. He likes to elaborate it and make it very exciting. But he originally came to me for the rights to Magic the Gathering, which I never gave him. We negotiated for a while, and in the end, Hasbro and Wizards decided not to pursue the deal. But John Frank and I became friends. So he and I became good friends because we bonded over being gamers. And so, all the time we spent talking about his plans for the movie, I grew to appreciate how passionate and creative and intelligent he was. And so I invited him to some of our game nights. And he became just really integrated into my group of friends. And, in fact, some of them he sees a lot more than I do sometimes. So, we just started becoming friends, and we thought of some things to work on that, together. We came up with some ideas, and we just tried a couple projects, and eventually realized that we didn't really have time for much else except the stuff we were working on together. So we just formalized it, and now we've been partners, I guess, almost 8 years.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah. He's a pretty incredible guy. He's a weird and strange guy, which I love. He's silly and has some serious ADD sometimes, but he's brilliant and smart and experienced and knowledgeable, and he's a really good partner. He's most importantly a trustworthy and kind person, which I find to be most important of all.
It's good to have someone that you can relate to as a business partner.
Yeah, someone who has the same values I do, and that I'm friends with. I enjoy him. You know, we don't get to do it ever as much as we want to, but even when we're not doing something work related, we can just hang out and have a fantastic time.
A lot of people don't understand the responsibilities of a producer. Can you please tell our viewers at home what things you handle as a producer for one of your series?
Oh my goodness. Well, it really depends on the project. There are projects where the producer, I guess it depends on, in each project I'm doing a different type of producer role, depending on whether I'm being the executive producer, the line producer, the supervising producer, or the only producer. So that can vary. For instance, like on the Continuum series that I'm doing for Red 5 Studios, or Stage 5 is their channel, I'm the executive producer. So on that one, I review submissions. I choose projects and take them to the financier for green light. I work with the filmmakers to make sure that they stay on track and on schedule and on budget. But, you know, mine is more of supervisory. I kind of just look at it, and they make all the decisions, hire their crew and, you know, pick their locations and, you know, pick their cast. And I just kind of am there as a resource and kind of overlooking to make sure that, you know, we're going to get what we wanted out of it. And the project is going to look great and, you know, turn out the way we hoped. But then there's projects where, like one of our shows, Dungeon Bastard, where I end up, you know, being the producer, the unit production manager, and the line producer, and everything. So, and that in that case, what I do is kind of work with the writer to make sure the scripts are what we need. I pick when we're going to shoot. I hire the crew. So I contact them. I find out if they're available. We pick a date. I get negotiate a rate with whoever is on it. So, you know, the more times we shoot the same thing, the less I have to do that because it's already, you know, it's already established. I make sure that they all sign all the employment paperwork, and you know, if there's any payroll stuff that needs to be filled out for the accountant, then I break down the script. So I look for any elements that we'll need for production. So if there are any props, any locations that are different than what we normally have, any wardrobe changes, any VFX, any of that, make sure we've budgeted for each of those things and covered someone to handle them. And then I schedule those things, so I choose what order we're shooting the scripts in. And if there are multiple complicated shots, I kind of, because on this one it's a small one, so I don't have an AD working with me on it. So I even pick the shot schedule and decide, okay, we're going to shoot all of the stuff in the wide, and then we're going to move to the close, and then we're going to do the ECUs, and we're going to shoot this angle first, and then shoot this other angle, and I schedule all that out and put times on it, and then I issue call sheets to the crew and tell them what time to be there. I make sure we've got any location requirements cleared. Make sure that we will have the craft services and lunch is ordered, and that we'll have everybody fed. That any permits that need to be done are filled out and approved. And then on set, I kind of just make sure that, we do all those things. I'm the one that, makes sure I have to be the first one there, make sure the door's open, everybody's in, and make sure the location is secured, that everybody's ready, set up, that we're, that we jump right in, that we get the first shot off in time, and that we're getting the shots we need so that it will all cut together per the editor's needs at the end, and just kind of keep track of what everybody's doing, keep them focused, keep them moving forward, and make sure that it all gets done. And then at the end, I make sure we clean everything up and put all the equipment away and lock it all up.
Holy cow.
Yeah, and then we go through post, and that includes, I transfer all the footage over to the editor and give him a schedule of, we want first cut by this date, and we want, or we want assembly by this date, we want, director's cut by here, we want the notes done by this time, and I check with him at each stage, and I gather the stuff from him, I take it to the team, I get their notes, I compile all the notes and take them back to him, review the changes, and then I even, if it's for our own channel, I make sure I usually am the one that supervises delivery to whichever conduit it is. So if it's to a client, I make sure that that the final footage is issued, rendered in the correct formats and tested. We do QC, and then I make sure that either I or a messenger or someone on the team takes it over to the client, or in my case, I'm the one who does the uploads myself to our channel and puts all the tags and the titles and annotations and all that on it, and then gets all the information to our social media team so that they can, do the Facebook and the Twitter and all the other Reddit posts and anything else we're doing.
So pretty much everything it takes to get the thing actually done.
Yeah, I mean, it gets easier and harder as the productions get bigger because some of those responsibilities get handed off to other people. So like on our Bite Me production, which was much larger, and we had a crew of 50 people, I had 2 coordinators and two co-producers underneath me, and my partner as another producer, and he was handling the line producing. So, a lot of that got split up. We also had an AD, a first AD and a second AD, so I could offload a lot of the shot scheduling. But still, I had to be the one to, I and my partner had to be the one to make sure every single one of those steps got done. Every single person had to be hired, and every little element had to be broken out in the script, because, you don't want to get to a shot and find out that the script calls for something that nobody was assigned to bring. You have a prop that's not there, or a piece of wardrobe that's not correct. And so you got to make sure that every little element, every single thing that needs to be on camera or off camera is planned for. Every person needs to be fed. They need to be told when to be where, and the sets need to be ready on time, and the equipment needs to be exactly in the right places. And, because time is money, and you don't, you have a crew for 10 hours a day, you can't waste a second of it.
It seems like you get your pay's worth, eh?
Yeah, our crews work really, really hard, but we also treat them really well. One of the earliest lessons I learned from my producing partner is about the importance of craft services and catering. So our crews, no matter what, are always fed very, very well. We always make sure they're comfortable. We work really hard on, making sure that everyone is listened to, appreciated, that we check with them and see if there are things they need. And as a producer, I feel my job is to do anything that's necessary to make the production move smoothly. And so I have no ego about, I'm a producer, I don't have to do that attitude. If my director needs me to go fetch him a cup of coffee, I'm going to go fetch him a cup of coffee. If, my AD needs me to go run a message to somebody, I'm going to go run a message. It's a team effort, and we all have to be jumping in there and treating each other with respect and working equally, because I don't think the team will respect someone who's not willing to work as hard as they have to work.
It sounds like a lot of work, but it's worth it in the end, right?
Yeah, oh yes. It's so much fun making things. It's kind of why I focus so much on the web, and a little less, we do occasional films, and we do a little TV here and there, and we do commercials, but I love the web because, we control it a little more. We get to make things our way, and we get to make more of it. I know the rates are a little lower, the profit margins are a lot slimmer, but I enjoy it because I didn't come here to make deals. I came here to make money. And so, when I make projects. You make money. But I came here to make things. And, I make more money when I make a studio deal. And I make more impressive things to some people when I do something with a big studio. But, it's a much harder, more painful experience. And it's takes a lot longer. I mean, the mini-series deal we did for Sci-Fi Channel, that development and negotiation process took a year and a half, whereas if we're making it for like Machinima or IGN, that process is so much shorter. Or if we're making it for ourselves, it's as short or long as we want it to be. I mean, we decided in December we're going to make a show, for a new show for our channel that we've just started working on scripts for, and we're going to shoot it next month. And, it's ours. We can do it whenever we feel like. So I like making things. Deals are not the fun part. I know how to do it, but I much prefer to bring out a camera and shoot something cool and edit it together and then show it to people. That's the fun part.
I'm right along there with you. What is the environment like behind the scenes of Epic Level Entertainment?
Well, it's a very small company. We crew up when we have productions, but in general, there are 5 of us, I think. Yeah, 5 of us right now. There's myself and my partner, and we have an office in Burbank, which is pretty small. We have, 3 rooms, and where we store all of our equipment, and we have our desks with our computers, and we have some space for, editors to come in when we hire for specific productions. And then there's our head of business development, Paige, who is just so important and valuable to our company. I couldn't even possibly express it. But she kind of helps me with everything we're doing, but most importantly, she's the one out kind of pitching us for new productions, especially branded and commercial things, because that's one of the money sources for our company so that we can afford to do some of the more fun things. My partner focuses a lot on the kind of COO sort of things, like he does all of our accounting, except for when he hires an accountant to do it. But when it's just us and our stuff, he'll handle making sure that the team is paid, that the rent is paid, that all the bills are covered, and, the phones are working, and, the water's being delivered to the office, and all of that, and making sure that, all of our legal stuff for the corporation is handled, and, all of our copyrights and trademarks are filed, and, just all the business side of it, while Paige is focused on pitching us, and then I am focused on, kind of picking what we're doing next and when we're doing it and getting things into production and getting them through post and getting them delivered on time. And then we have a couple of people that are with us that do very specific things, like Eamon, who works for us on shoots. He works in the camera department, but from day to day when we're not in production, he helps us with social media. He handles most of our posts on Facebook and Twitter and, some of the other sites that we have things on, Tumblr and Pinterest and so on and so forth. And he also helps me with developing new stuff. And in fact, he wrote the script for the show we're shooting next month. So that will be his first one that he wrote and we produced. Then I have Evan, who works for us also, and he handles managing and scheduling all of our equipment, because we loan it out to a lot of other production companies too, because we just like to be, part of a good, friendly community that helps each other make things. So we have a huge stack of production equipment. We have a 5D camera and a couple dozen lights and of different types, and everything from sandbags to Apple boxes and C-stands and green screen and anything you might need, sound equipment. And so we loan it out, and so he schedules and maintains inventory and makes sure that it's all working and checks it in and out. He handles a lot of the editing for the stuff we're doing that we don't have to outsource. He handles he's a jack of all trades, and he does basically anything we need him to do. He even made us a teleprompter because we were researching him and couldn't decide on one, and he just made us one. So he's just amazingly handy and helpful, and he also helps me with the technical stuff because he's very good at computers, and so he'll help me when I'm having trouble figuring out why my emails aren't transferring from one account to another, or why I can't sign up for something. Whenever I get very frustrated, Eamon fixes it for me. So that's kind of the inside of who we have, and then we're very close. We all enjoy each other. We try to make sure that even though we're small, we're all invested in everything that we're doing, and we have the next level out. We have several dozen people that are kind of our extended family of Epic Level that we go to for, things that we need. We'll hire them on a case-by-case basis for projects, writers and directors and editors, and our, DPs that are kind of our first choices, and they're, that we work with regularly, because we like to work with the same people as much as possible. Since we're building a community, we do this because we love it, and it's no fun to work on something that you're passionate about and have to be stuck with people you don't like. So when we find people that are talented and reliable and we can enjoy, we just hold on to them as tightly as we can and bring them back in as often as possible.
Find someone that you work well with, and you keep them for life, practically.
Absolutely, and we become friends with those people, because when you're on set with people, it's a very intensive and intimate environment, and you get to know people really well after a long shoot.
Epic Level Entertainment has quite a few web series under its belt. Can you tell us a little bit about the few that you've worked on?
Sure. Well, our first one was actually an animated show that we did called Zombie, with an X, Xombie. It was created by an amazing, brilliant writer and director named James Farr, who lives in Tulsa, and he actually created it first and made his first episode and put it online. And it was shown to me by some friends who showed it and said, "Oh my God, you have to see this." And I saw it and fell in love with it and contacted him and said, "We want to help you make more. How can we do that?" And so we partnered up with him and helped him make the rest of the series and helped set it up in further places. And it was an amazing experience. We had, this was early 2003, so there weren't very many, web series that were out there. And James was just brilliant, and it was received very well. We probably got 15 million views. And, I think I set it up for. I know we got it set up for comic books, and we set up. We licensed and merchandised the hell out of it. I got T-shirts sold and keychains and mouse pads and skateboards and anything I could. We because there was no way to monetize the shows, so we were trying to monetize the merchandise.
Right.
And so we did that one, and eventually ended up setting it up with a studio with DreamWorks, and then stopped making new ones because we thought, all right, we hit the big league, and the movie never happened. So, but by that time, the brand had people had lost interest because we didn't make any content for a while. It was my first.
That happens.
Yeah, and how short the attention span is. People want stuff that's regular, and if you abandon them for a while, they'll abandon you.
Yeah, that's the thing with the internet. There's a shorter attention span than you would say with other television or such.
Right. So, but that is still a franchise that I dearly love, and we still have it, and we work closely with James on other things, and hopefully someday we can revisit and get a chance to make more Zombie, because I do love it. After that, we tried a few different things. We made a couple of little 3-episode series with some friends about different topics that never really took off, and then we started working on something called Bite Me with Machinima, and that obviously did very, very well, and that was sponsored by Capcom. And it was a lot of fun, and we, worked really well with the Machinima team, and I love the people over there. I think that their team is so talented and so smart, and the writing was amazing, and it was just a privilege to produce that show. And so it hit off and did really well, and immediately we started talking about season 2, and Lionsgate came in and helped us finance, along with Capcom, another season, and it was actually on FearNet as well as Machinima, and it was great because that one was even bigger than the last one. And I think that show has gotten easily 30 million views over the different episodes, and it was a great experience. I loved it. I loved the characters. I'm still friends with the actors, the crew, and it was really great. And Machinima hires us to do a lot of other small shows for them, and we do promos for them, and we do commercials. So we work a lot with Machinima.com, and it's always a good experience. And in the meantime, we decided to start our own channel, and it was kind of the beginning of YouTube opening up their process for monetization and partnerships and everything. And so we thought we'd give something a try. About that time is when we bought our first camera of our own, because we always rented up to that point. And so we bought a Canon 5D, and I wanted to learn how to use it. I'd never used a DSLR, and so I called my friend TC, who is a photographer and a DP, and said, hey, can you come over and show me how to use this? And he said, sure, do you have something to shoot? And I thought, I don't know. So I called my friend Tom, who I gamed with, and said, hey, do you have something I can shoot? And he said, I'll write something. And so we all got together at my house and shot just a funny little fake PSA that we enjoyed and put it online and got several 100,000 views on it. And we thought, oh, hey, that worked. And it was called The Adventure Coach. And so Tom, the creator of it and star of it, said, hey, I'll write some more. Maybe we could shoot some little Ask the Bastard things. And I said, great. And so that's where it started. And since then, we've done 45 other episodes of the show. And the Dungeon Bastard has become, our most popular thing on our channel, probably. He has been recently invited to a lot of conventions to host and be a guest of honor, and we get hired to go shoot things for game companies with him, and we're trying to seek new ways to grow the franchise and try different things, and it's done really well. And so that one is one that just evolved out of me wanting to learn how to use my camera, and now I started off as the wrote, directed, and edited it, and now I produce and direct it, but I've had to hire an editor because I just can't keep up with it. Still do a new one of those every 2 weeks, and then a couple times a year we do little special things like a PSA, a music video, or something like that. And then we have a couple of other shows that I've really enjoyed that were just things we wanted to do. We had no idea how they would, how people would receive them. We just thought they were cool and fun, and that includes the first one we did was Space Guys in Space, and that's about the two surviving members of the human race, the two last survivors of the human race, being stuck in a pod together in space. It's kind of the odd couple in space.
I quite enjoy that myself.
Yeah, I really love it. And the creator, Tony Wallace, it came about because he came to me and he said, I want to write something that gets made. I'm new in the screenwriting. Can you give me some advice? And I started giving advice and giving him notes on scripts. And he was just getting better and better. And he said, well, what can I write something that you will actually make? And I said, sure. And I gave him some ideas of things that I thought I could afford to make on my own, and one of them was, the odd couple in space, single location, this many characters, and I kind of worked with him to outline what the characters were, and then he wrote all the scripts himself, and he is so funny. He's one of the funniest people I've ever known in my entire life. And he did such a great job, and that one was a pleasure. We worked very closely with Jason Marsden, who was the lead with Dave Levine. They played Carl and Stu, and they helped us develop those characters even further, and it was just so much fun. We shot it over the course of 5 days. We shot 16 episodes, and we shot it in Burbank, and it was so much fun. And we just rented a giant soundstage and built a little spaceship in there, and just had a blast with it. And then one of the guest stars on it was Phil Lamar, who we then decided to do another show with, and came up with the idea of a talk show where they interview characters from history and mythology, and we called that one Inside the Legend. And that starred Phil Lamar and Vanessa Ragland, who we searched high and low to find. We did so much casting until we just stumbled. We were so lucky we stumbled on Vanessa. Phil had met her from her blog, I guess she interviewed him for her podcast was what it was. Mm-hmm. And he said, let's bring her in. And she came in, and she was amazing. So she and Phil helped even rewrite the scripts. And again, it was Tony wrote them, and he was a genius and did such a good job. And so we did 16 episodes of that show as well in 5 days. And it was there. Both of them were just a blast to work on, and I love those shows. And hopefully people will continue to like them, and we'll get to make a ton more.
No, I've enjoyed quite a few of them, up to the point of researching for this interview. I've watched a good portion of all the things that your website has had to offer, and I like what I saw pretty much all across the board.
Oh, thank you.
On the production side of things, what should amateur creators take away to make their works as successful as the ones you work on?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think the simplest answer is that just you have to make things to learn how to make them. And so you should just go out and make as many things as you can, but you have to focus on making high-quality things. And, practice makes perfect. So make a ton of things and learn to get better. But the goal is to build up to something that people will appreciate, and people appreciate things that are higher quality. There's different criteria for what high quality is, but I think there's a common level of basic production levels that people expect. They have to be able to hear it. Your sound needs to be good. The better it looks, the more you move the camera and, in an artistic way, and make sure that you framed things well. Those are all important, but people forget on the internet how important lighting can be. People just take a camera and shoot and don't bother to light anything, and it all looks flat and grainy and boring. And most importantly, have something entertaining to say in it. I mean, if it's scripted, make sure your scripts are really awesome before you shoot them. Make sure that you don't just shoot your first draft. Rewrite, and then rewrite again, and get notes, and rewrite again, and do table reads and see how it sounds out loud, and make sure your story is tight, because people are not going to forgive you if you waste their time online. There's too much content out there right now, and the competition is fierce. The competition has changed. It used to be competition to get the studios to make your stuff, and now anybody can make something. So there's a glut, and the marketplace is full, and everybody is bombarded with new content all the time. And so now you have to compete for their attention. And no one wants to waste their time watching something they don't enjoy. There's too many other things they could be watching.
What are some of the best ways to spread the word about one series?
Social media is one of the best. Facebook, Twitter. There's a couple of services that you can use for advertising. One of the things we do is is it called Tube Mogul? I think it's called Tube Mogul, where we put our videos and banners into circulation for the sorts of social games and things where, there's games on Facebook and games on other sites where you play, and if you're patient, the points return and renew at a regular rate. But if you're impatient, like me, you want them to renew faster, and so you have to try some of the things that they want you to do. They're like, all right, well, we'll give you this many extra points if you go watch this video, or go read this ad, or go fill out this questionnaire, or whatever. And so we do a lot of those as well to show people our videos and hope that they like them enough to click through and watch more. There's even some benefit to there's some sites like Fiverr where people will post about your stuff on their websites. You have to be careful. Some of them are kind of not very useful because they fake their number of viewers and listeners and how many people are actually on their sites. But there's some that have been very useful. I've made some good connections to people who are actually, have sites that are dedicated to the kinds of things we do, and I make little deals with them. And from there we make, we go on to build other cross promotions and things like that. So, but it was a good starting point. And obviously just asking your friends and the social media people to post it as well, and then posting on other sites. Find communities where people are interested in the kinds of things you're doing, and post it there. Don't just put it on your own Facebook page and hope that people find it, but post it on yours, and then go to a few pages where people have similar interests and are discussing things that are like what you're doing. So, and tell them about yours. Don't spam them with it. Don't annoy them with it. But spreading the word is it's your responsibility as a creator now, because you don't have a studio to do it for you.
Yeah, exactly. In your opinion, can average production be overlooked if the story being told is particularly good?
Of course. Absolutely. If the story is amazing, people will overlook more. But there's only so much they'll overlook. And there's only so much they can. If your story is amazing, but they can't make out what your characters are saying because the sound is so bad, they're not going to get your story. If your story is amazing, but they can't quite see what's happening because the shots are so bad, it's not going to matter. But if there's, if at least they can hear it and they can see it, and then the writing and acting is really good, then they'll overlook a lot of other things. But again, those are things that are important, because writing is one part of it, but you also have to make sure it's acted well. I see tons of things on the internet that are well written that have terrible actors, or that have amazing acting but bad scripts. So, it's the sign of a good filmmaker to be able to make sure that you get all of those things happening at the same time.
Exactly. There are so many quality web series on the internet today. What would someone do to get their series noticed above the rest?
Well, make something amazing and then spread the word about it.
That's the obvious one.
And make something, I think, that has a very clear audience. This is a mistake I've made a couple of times, where I made something like Inside the Legend that was really cool. It's really funny. It's very well made. The performers are incredible. But everyone asks me, who's that really for? Because I've never been able to find any distribution or marketing partners that really resonate with it, because there's not a very clear audience for who that show is for, and that was my bad. That's my mistake. Whereas other shows like Dungeon Bastard, the one that's done much better for us, or Bite Me, that did amazing, and Zombie, they have a very clear target. Bite Me is for video gamers, very specifically male, in their 20s video gamers, and Dungeon Bastard is for tabletop role-playing game players. And so, it's very clear who the target is and where to find those people. So don't just make something, but make something great, and make something that there is a specific audience of people that are looking for that. And then make sure they find out about it.
For you, what are some of the worst aspects working in today's entertainment industry?
Well, I think possibly one of the ones that annoys me the most is there's still a definite disdain at some levels of Hollywood for web content. They're kind of snobby about it, but I like it. I enjoy it more than I enjoy the studios and networks in most cases, so I don't really care. But it is a little frustrating sometimes because, some of the shows that we've made, are at equivalent or better quality than some of the stuff that I see in other places, and yet it's not considered as impressive because it's web content. And that's kind of frustrating, but, who cares? We can survive that. The other is that it's the monetization process is still in flux, which is a little frustrating. Yeah. At least everyone knows how you make money off of a movie. They don't usually make the money, but they know how.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the model for television, but in the web, it's still experimental. It's the Wild West out there, and so there's a million ways that people are trying it out, and it's kind of frustrating to not know all the best answers sometimes, because we're still trying things out. we still experiment. We buy advertising in different places, and sometimes we pay for banners, and sometimes we, pay for a PR person to help us, because we're still experimenting to see what works. And then the same with the monetization process itself. We've tried things on Blip, we try things on YouTube, we, try things on other services, we've tried things through networks, we try things on our own, it's hard to tell what's going to be the best, so what's going to evolve into the dominant and accepted way to do it, because we're still so early in the process. Though, I think it's generally obvious that free content is going to exceed paid content. I could be wrong, but that seems to be a definite direction that things are going, where viewers don't want to pay for content per download, but they are willing to pay with their time to some extent. So advertising, sponsors, and cross-promotions tend to be the direction that the web entertainment industry is moving, much like video games. It's following the same model. Video games have had, online games have had subscription or purchase-based for a long time, but it's becoming more and more common for free-to-play games to take over. And in fact, the largest games in the market right now are free-to-play games.
Do you think web entertainment is going to become one of the major players in the entertainment industry in the future?
Yes, but that's a tricky question, because I don't think that it will be differentiated the same way anymore, because it's all merging. People aren't watching TV the way they used to watch TV. A lot of people are watching their television online. And a lot of people are watching things that are from the internet on their televisions. I have an Apple TV box, and we just, we can watch videos from Hulu and Netflix and YouTube in the same place and in the same way. And we're not very far from those being just equivalent things, where there's not that much differentiation between, what you see on your computer and what you see on your iPad and what you see on your television.
And I think it's a future worth looking into, because I am in the web series industry myself, trying to at least. So hopefully things will be bright in the future when other companies will be taking web series a little more seriously, or won't even have that definition anymore.
Absolutely.
Is there anything you can tell us of what Epic Level Entertainment has planned for the future?
Sure. We have a new show that we're shooting next month called Save Point, that Eamon, one of our employees, has written, and it's a video game-oriented show, and that's a lot of fun. We have a new hub show. We're going to start doing a weekly kind of news update sort of thing, but with puppets. And we're really looking forward to it. We've never shot with puppets before. That's going to be a fun thing. And in fact, we're having a party at our office in a couple of weeks to make the puppets. Our business development person has been taking puppet classes and learned about it and bought a whole bunch of, what do you call them, not templates, but patterns. And we've designed the puppets that we want. She's, done all the sketches, and we've outlined the characters, and we have scripts, and now she's bought all the pieces, and we're all going to get together and sew all of them together. Except I'm not very good at sewing, so but I wield a mean glue gun. So I will do that.
A word of warning for the people that are working the puppets: I recommend they start exercising their hands.
Yes, that's what she told us. And upper arms, these puppets are they're like Muppets. They're big.
Yes.
So and it will be a good workout for us while we're doing it as well.
I've done some of that myself, and you can get sore after a while.
Yes. So that's one of the other shows we're doing. We have a couple things in the works with Machinima that I can't really talk too much about. We're talking about a few things with IGN, and I am doing a project right now that with a company called Tryon Entertainment that makes Rifts. It's an MMO, and we're going to hopefully do a show with them based on their game. And then a lot of my time is also spent, in addition to the stuff for Epic Level, I also help with Stage 5 Entertainment, which is the channel for, or Stage 5 TV, which is the channel for Red 5 Studios, the company that makes Firefall. And we do, in addition to helping them do big deals for third-party projects and help them with anything they need on their projects that they make based on their own game. We run a couple of other shows for them, including the one that I spend the most time on is The Continuum, which is it's a kind of our amazing stories. It's short films made for gamers, so they can be sci-fi, fantasy, supernatural, anything that is that would be on an Amazing Stories episode. It could be action, adventure, whatever. But they're under 10 minutes usually, and we fund them. Red 5 funds them, we have a new one every other week all year. And so that just launched in October, and we put up new videos all the time, and it's amazing. And it's called The Continuum, and it's on YouTube on Stage 5. If you just go to youtube.com/stage number 5, Stage 5. That one is one that there's always new stuff coming up, and that one I have so much fun doing because I get to work with everyone is a different director, producer, writing team, and every one of them. I mean, we've greenlit a couple of them to come back and make more, but we're still in the first season. Really, it's been out less than 6 months. So so far I think we've greenlit about 30 of them, and I'm executive producing with 30 different teams, and it's incredible. So that one is one I hope everybody goes and checks out.
I hope so too. It sounds like you have a lot of great things planned.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for all you at home, if you want to check out Epic Level Entertainment, you can find them at epiclevel.com for their company, or for the videos themselves, epicleveltv.com. You can find them on Twitter at epicleveltv, or on Facebook at facebook.com/epicleveltv. Was there anything else you wanted to plug before we head out?
Oh, you covered it. Good job.
I do my research.
Thank you, everybody that listens, and please check us out. And if you have any things that they want to contact us for, the info at epiclevel.com. You can email us there.
Well, thank you very much for talking with me today. It was very informative, and I enjoyed the time together.
Thank you too, and keep in touch. I look forward to hearing, if anyone has, any ideas, suggestions, or is interested in what we have to say. It's fun to be helpful.
I hope you all found our time with Miss Rice refreshing. See you all next time on 100% Creative Juices on ProjectMillionEntertainment.com.